could hear the music in my head. Welcome to the Energy Healing Lifestyle Journal Self-Care Challenge. My name is Robin Nutt, and I'm your host of the channel and the founder of the EnergyHealingSchool.com. Let me apologize. I'm trying to talk with a cough drop in my mouth because I've been a little coughy, sneezy, and sniffly today. So bear with me. Still going to walk you through my journaling process and share some real life examples along the way. So if you have your journal, I have mine. Come journal with me. So as always, we get in the space to journal, the space to just be present for ourselves, to listen to whatever comes up, whatever needs our attention, if something needs our attention, right? I write out self-care challenge because for us, self-care is an acronym. Today we're focusing on a letter F, which stands for forgiveness. Excuse me. And in my healing system of best you, we would be on letter T for transformation, which forgiveness in itself is very transformational, right? And it's all governed by Heart Chakra Energy. So we'll touch on that as well. So then I asked myself the question, the journal prompt for the day: how do caregivers forgive? And then just wait and see what comes up, right? When you ask other people a question, you wait typically for a response. So we do the same for ourselves. Whatever comes up, allow it. Try not to get on a hamster wheel that's like off topic, because sometimes the ego wants to avoid these things. But acknowledge it. Don't try to resist it, right? Because that could just get in our way of really getting to the space that we need to enter, if you will. So how do caregivers forgive? And what came up for me was that when we feel resentments, remember throughout the week, we've been talking about our beliefs about caregiving, like what it is. And then if we identify or we take on that role and what that looks like and what it means to us and what emotions or feelings that we have that come along with it. And I've already shared that it seems like in the beginning, there's more drive, right? You have that energy, it's built up. There's been a situation typically that brings about your need, quote unquote, to caregive, right? Most people who are fine on their own don't need a caregiver. So there's been some form of situation that's come about. So you're very passionate, compassionate, and driven and loving and ready, full of empathy to help, right? And then it's possible over a period of time, especially if you're not taking care of yourself or taking good care of yourself, just meaning giving yourself enough self-care to keep you in that space and that energy. And depending on what your experiences are as you're a caregiver, can also affect and shift and change some of those emotions, right? Sometimes then we get into some resentment and some angers and frustrations and exhaustion and just tired, right? Might feel lonely, devalued, like we could just start to name, but we went over some of those the other day on the emotions and then how we internalize some of that as well as being the caregiver and what our self-image looks like, which can shift and change with those emotions, right? In the beginning, feeling very selfless and willing and able to take on that caregiver role. And again, if we go through those times of not taking good care of ourselves and those resentments and frustrations play a role, then our self-image could take a hit and we might feel guilty and start that inner blame, shame, and guilt. So then to follow up with that forgiveness, right? Excuse me. And when we feel resentment, apathy, frustration, a lot of the emotions I'd already gone over again, choosing to forgive self for feeling those emotions. How many times as empaths or whatever caregiver role title that you have and that you give, do you then have this expectation that you are supposed to be at some certain level that's beyond human, right? You're not ever supposed to get angry. You're not ever supposed to be exhausted. You're not ever supposed to get irritable. You're not ever supposed to, right? So then beating yourself up for that. Um, and then for not taking care of self. So again, I do this every day. I talk about this all the time, but for this reason, I didn't always. I got to this point in my current moments, in my current nows, continuing on making self-care, self-love, self-worth a priority because of my own journey, of my own experiences, right? So then it's real easy for the ego to, you know better, right? You know better than that. But we're not here to do that. We're here to call that out, squash it, and just pick up and move forward, right? And then again, forgiveness for blaming others for doing what they know how to do. So this is something else that came up. Not saying I'll never get frustrated again. However, I, I still sometimes get upset with people who don't step up and help, right? Like, how did this become just on me only, right? How did that happen? However, everyone has their own coping mechanisms, right? So when we're in the middle of it, sometimes we don't see that. Sometimes because we have our own and we're like all but begging for this help and support, that we then, I don't want to say forget, oversee, maybe overlook, deny it ourselves, that other people may not be able to or know how to do what we want them to do what we need them to do, right? People are where they are in their own journeys. And most of the time, we know that, right? Most of the time, we're good with that. Most of the time, we can meet people where they are and support them in that, right? But when it's you, when you are the one who is, I don't want to say drowning, but that is the word that came up, drowning in stuff, right? Because you too are still a human as well, having a human experience. I know we're more than that, but we are still having a human experience. Then we forget. I'm just going to use the word forget that. We don't have that level of understanding anymore. It gets set aside, right? Because something else is in the forefront. Let me know if that made sense. So I happened to look up this article that I would love to share with you. It's quite long, so I won't read it all, but a few good points I wanted to share. Um, I may, where I can, leave the link in the comments. So if you would like to finish reading it, for those of you who may also benefit from it, I will do that. So this is from, there's a place called Sea, like Ocean Sea Care, seacarehomecare.com. So the article is Forgiveness, a Caregiver's Hidden Strength. So I really like that because it sounded very empowering, right? So I'm going to start off reading it. Again, forgive me for this cough drop in my mouth, but it's helping me get through here. So quote, caregiving is difficult. You know that, right? It's often thankless, it feels lonely, it can be burdensome, and it causes resentment. While it is usually an act of love, for many it is also an obligation. Caregiving relationships happen because of unpleasant circumstances, and they often start under unfavorable conditions. Caregiving involves obstacles to overcome and relationships to maintain or repair. This means it's important to talk about forgiveness, which can be as difficult as the caregiving itself. You may struggle to forgive those who have been abusive, judgmental, or neglectful, but the person most deserving of forgiveness is you. Self-forgiveness is the essential first step in your effort to forgive other people and situations. You'll find strength and wellness in your ability to practice it. Excuse me. So I know we talk about some of these things already, But I also wanted you to hear it from a source different than me, right? Like I'm saying it, but I want you to know that other people see it this way as well. So I know for me, anyways, in these moments of when you're stuck in, not stuck, but when you're feeling a lot of that resentment, or maybe if you're really feeling the challenges of self-care or compassion and empathy, um, yeah, sometimes we just don't receive the information easily, and it can be helpful to hear it from more than one resource. So let me continue a little tidbit and then we'll wrap up. Why this is still part of the same article. So why forgiveness is important. Quite simply, it's a matter of maintaining good health and improving your life as a caregiver. Anger and resentment cause unwanted reactions in your body, such as elevated stress levels and increased risk of depression and heart disease. So, side note, we're talking about the heart chakra, right? The heart chakra governs your heart and your respiratory system and your circulatory system, your heart, literally. So just side note there, back to the article. If you're harboring these feelings, you're putting yourself in a state of fight or flight, which leads to negative outcomes. Forgiveness allows you to reduce your level of anxiety. It helps you forge better relationships with your family. It leads you toward a deeper understanding of circumstances around your loved one's need for care. Done successfully, forgiveness lightens your load. Absolutely. And again, there is more in this article that I thought was really nice. So I will, again, put it in comments where I can and on all the platforms. Not sure if I can do that on Spotify. I'll try. But at least YouTube and Rumble. So heart chakra, right? Again, governing all of this. When that energy is wonky, in addition to the depression and heart disease or heart issues I was talking about, the high blood pressure, asthma, lung disease, low immune system, might also feel jealousy, again, the resentment, bitterness, holding grudges, isolation, grief, and loneliness. Let me know if you're familiar with Ho'oponopono. I think that's amazing. That helps us get into that clearing energy to allow forgiveness as well. So let me know how you're doing. Drop it in the comments if you're willing to share. Let me know how this journaling process is going for you, specifically on this one, today's journal prompt. Let me know what resonates and what you're doing to take care of yourself. So thank you for sharing your time and space with me. I will see you tomorrow for throat chakra healing. We are talking about what letter are we on? The C for care, self-care. So we're talking about communication. A weird blip in my thing. I don't know if it showed up on a video. Talking about communication and in my healing system, speaking your truth, right? All governed by the throat chakra. I will see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful day, evening, whatever time in the world it is for you. Take good care.